Alright, hopefully this will work. Got a slightly different setup here. Ooh, okay, cool. Ooh, that does work. Nice. Okay, let's see about that. Alright. Alright, everybody. Let me just check to see if I'm live and in charge. Yes, I am. Alright, good. Okay, cool. Okay. I actually ended up getting a new phone, so now I can see comments. Alright, so it's been a little crazy. Yeah, there's a lot to get through, so I'm just going to take a couple minutes. I know it's Sunday, July 3rd, day before Independence Day, so I know a lot of you are busy, so you'll probably catch this on the replay, and that's okay. I did include a link in here for my business only because I'm going to be talking at the end a little bit about what happened, and in case I ever mention gaining money from that, we have to legally include the income disclosure statement regardless of what our rank is or how much we're making or if we're making anything regardless. So I just include it so you don't have to, look. If you're curious about it and the different tiers and how much each tier makes, this is a 2021. They're always 2 years behind. That's cool. Take a look at it. If you have any questions, text me, whatever. But that's not what I'm on here. But I just, legally, I have to put it on here regardless, even if I mention it just slightly like I did it right now. So, but I'm on here really to share with you my other new certification that I got and to explain what craziness June has been, at least for me. I'm not sure about you. Although I have seen in a couple other posts from my other friends and a couple other people that it has been a little bit crazy, like things happening that are out of our control and then like kind of hitting us in the face, and then we're like, okay, now I have to deal with this, what the heck. And it's not all in one area. Like usually if y'all know me, I follow the planets and things like that, and I do astrology and I'm all into that. But normally when that's the case, it's usually in like one area. Like if it's Mercury retrograde, it's just technical issues or communication issues. This time around, it was a whole skew of things. And some of the closer planets, like the ones like the Earth, the Sun, the Moon, Venus, that kind of stuff, those are internal planets, and then the other big gas giants are external. And if you're in one planet's doing retrograde or another planet is doing retrograde that's smaller, it depends on what section, like if it's internal work versus exterior work. This has just been across the board crazy. Like, I don't know what's going on. And you'll be like, okay, well, supply chain issues should be fine because we're kind of getting back up in there. It's not. It is really the idea that the whole entire culture and society and global thing is just, the whole system's breaking down. These are systems we've had in place for years, eons even, and if you follow me, I'm usually float along the spiritualist path and think of that. Now, I would personally say it's because of a lot of things that have been in 3D that are breaking down, and we're in 4D and we're moving into 5D. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Basically, it's just a whole bunch of things that weren't working or breaking down, and now we're trying to build new ones that will work better. Simple layman's terms. But case in point, June, the last 2 weeks in June, I ended up having a car payment that I wasn't expecting. Took my whole entire payment in my work, and I get paid every 2 weeks, so that put me off paying certain bills that are due at certain times, and I can't move the payment date. So that offset me a lot, and not being able, it stretched me extremely thin, extremely, more so thin than I wanted to be, and it makes me really uncomfortable when I get, like, things don't work out, because I work in systems. I flourish on systems and like organization and things like that. And lately, with the move the last 2 months, with the preceding death of my grandfather, with the preceding death before that of my younger brother, and then mom before that, all of the things, I've just been like, blah. And also, most of these planets are in my main houses. So Saturn went retrograde, and I'm like, Aquarius is old school planet. They talk about Aquarius being Uranus now. And yes, Uranus. Some of you people watching, I get it. I said Uranus. But anyways, So a lot of this stuff like that hit, and then right when I had to pay for that, because I'm like, I need my car to go to work, you know, I'm like, kind of have to pay my bills. Then my phone took a crap, and luckily I should have updated it 2 years ago, but I'm like, no, I'll be fine, don't worry about it. And it was an old iPhone 7 Plus. But I'm like, I don't need to worry about that now. I got other things to worry about. And yeah, I should have probably listened to my gut instinct about doing it 2 years ago before all the craziness happened. But, you know, all in all, I ended up trading in my old one for this one. And luckily they did take it, because when I traded it in, I had to order this one. This one was 1 terabyte of information on this one. They don't usually sell this one a lot. But I'm like, hey, I want this information so it doesn't, yeah, I work my business also on my phone, especially when I'm away. So I do like lives and things and videos, and I need that information and that space for there. And especially with all the updates, they were taking so much space out of the older versions. I do iPhones. I'm not sure about the other. It was just a very crazy thing. So I had to wait 2 days, actually 3 days, because they said it was going to get there on Thursday. But then I'm like, okay, well, it was Friday that when it came in, so I was like, okay, so I was out of phone for like 3 days, which I wasn't accounting for, because then everybody was like, what? I can't contact you. What's going on? What, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm still here. It's just, you know, if you want to come in East Aurora. And then beyond that, my aunt had come this previous week, the last week in June, to get some of the stuff from the house, because we're dealing with the house and selling the house and getting that all ready. And a bunch of the other stuff from the lawyer's end wasn't done the way it should have been done, and now we're offsite stuff. So hopefully this month, July, should be good. We also had some issues with the house that our renters were in that we had to figure out. My brother had to figure out that. That put him out a bunch of stuff too, because nobody can use the estate funds, because we don't have that set up yet, because the lawyer didn't do his job and put it in right away. And New York State's on a 90-day delay. So you're like 3 months behind on that, and you're like, what? You know, and so everybody's just getting frustrated with the whole thing. They're getting tired of it all. It's just not working. We're getting, you know, bumping up against walls. You know, he just bought a house in Guanda. He's down there. He doesn't want to really be dealing with stuff that should have been dealt with before. There was an issue with communication with the guy that they were talking to about it involving the hot water tank for the people. It was all a mess. It was like, this is how it's been. It's been Mercury retrograde, but not on steroids. Like, you're like, what? We just finished Mercury retrograde at the end of May, beginning of June. So I'm like, what's all this weirdness? So it's really just a lot of people learning how to reshuffle and readjust. And a lot of people are being forced back into jobs they don't like, having to go and not be remote anymore and having to be in person, which they were, you know, understanding that they liked doing the other stuff the other way. They didn't feel pressured and stuff. A lot of the stuff after the virus went through, a lot of us are having issues keeping up now with what we used to do before. It's that whole fatigue syndrome thing going on. I noticed my hair is a lot thinner after mine. And I've got anemia now, which we're still trying to figure out what the heck's going on with that. Now, I did start doing the gluten-free again. I did notice it did help. It's not a perfect cure. I can't go completely gluten-free because it just doesn't work right now with the finances that I have and the stuff. I do my rice, and I'll have, you know, I kind of got back into some hot dogs for a while there. I couldn't eat hot dogs. A lot of the processed foods I can't process in my stomach. My stomach won't let me. Back to drinking green tea, doing Gatorade. You know, when I'm working, I have to have an energy drink. So I couldn't do the Monsters. Monsters caused issues with my heart. So I was like stopping that. And because I'm sensitive to caffeine, apparently. I need to get some more tests done on allergies and different things. It kind of reminds me because when my younger brother, when we were kids, my younger brother had to go in because he had asthma and stuff. So they wanted to figure out what else he was allergic to. I think his doctor was Mr. Green or something. And we'd go into the office and he had this like patch test on your back or whatever. Now they all do it like through your blood work, which I guess that's okay. But I'd prefer my back only because I hate needles. And I have scar tissue in this arm from when I almost died in the hospital and they had to do blood draws every single week, or well, every single day to see where my platelets were when I found out I was deathly allergic to sulfa. Fun times, fun times. It's been a fun roller coaster ride ever since. One reason why I got into Young Living, because all of the sensitivities that I had, I just couldn't keep going the way I could, and having all these issues, and mom's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know, and all my tests were within normal ranges, so, and I knew something was wrong. So anyways, there's a lot of that was going on, and, like, it's just been crazy. Still trying to adjust the stuff here in the small. I wanted a 2-bedroom apartment. I ended up having to get a 1-bedroom. So I'm contracted in this place up until March of next year. So that's interesting, considering it's another payment and the car payment, and having, see, that was the other stuff too. So not only did the one $500 car payment for having to have a cable. So let me regress. What happened with the cars, if you've known me and you've talked to me in person, I've had issues with this car for the last year and a half, stalling out on me, not registering the power to the engine, things like this, and we're trying to figure out what. I went into Wester multiple times, they couldn't figure it out, whatever. I paid Wester the one time, they asked me $400 for it, and then the next time I went in, I said, hey guys, I'm not paying you $400 because that's freaking a ripoff, and you guys still can't figure out what's wrong with my car. Now, mind you, that was a year and a half ago, and I just told them what was probably going on now. Only because the guy that told me was a friend of my older brother's, and he kind of was like, I've seen this kind of happen with somebody else. It's probably this, and everybody's like, oh no, nobody knows what they're talking about, blah, blah, Wester would know better. And I'm like, yeah, no, they just want your money. So anyways, turns out that the cable cord, and when I would look at the battery, the one cord with the negative was always corroded. It was corroded. And they're like, oh no, a little bit of corrosion, it's not going to be a problem. Now, granted, this is a Buick Cross and it's a fancier car. It's got some bells and whistles on it, things like that, that probably wouldn't register things like a normal car would. So a normal car's battery, you know, thing wouldn't mind if it was just a little bit corroded on there. Mine's just super sensitive like me, and yes, everything has an issue. Not everything, I shouldn't say that, knock on wood, take that back. But basically what happened is the port for the connector for the negative charge was corroded, and so I needed a new connector, and I don't know much about cars, so if I'm just explaining this like willy-nilly, because I suck at that. And the actual cable was the one that hooked up to the fuse box. Now the fuse box controls whether or not my car turns on and off because I have a push start. And you can't even get it into neutral to even get it towed if there's no connectivity from the fuse box to the engine. So it's like, no, nothing was registering. They couldn't even turn it over. None of that. They tried even taking out something and doing whatever they normally did for other cars. And they're like, yeah, we got nothing. So sadly, when you pull it, because it was the way it was, it died at co-op, and they had to pull it back. And this is twice now in the last, when I was working at CVS, that's what they had to do at CVS parking lot, because I pulled in front ways and they had to pull it back out. And it kind of had the tires rotate a little bit, like, you know. But beyond that, we found out that it was connecting to the fuse box, and the actual cord itself had a malfunction in it too. So now that that all was replaced, it cost $500 because I had to have it done at West Her instead of somewhere else, like say Ginrich's or something, because it was on a weekend when Paul wasn't open, and West Her was the only place to tow it to and stuff like that. And I only had, because the other wasn't considered under my AAA thing or whatever, there's this whole big thing. Luckily, the medication I'm on for anxiety, depression, that I take periodically, I'm supposed to take it every day, but periodically I take it as much as I can, when it warrants it, was basically helping me stay calm. Because normally I would be like, oh my God, I can't deal with this again, da 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 da. I mean, it's not like I was living on South Street. I live up here on the hill now, so you'd have to walk further down, and it's more of a thing, especially in the heat. We had that heat, that 90-degree weather and stuff, and I'm not used to that. I have to amp up my body to be able to start walking and doing that. That's also a reason why it caused me to try to do gluten-free, because I did notice when I stopped the gluten, my muscles came back. So that's another good thing. It kind of knocked down my bloat. The other thing with that is, when you do this, you also got to kind of be like, hey, I'm at a job for an 8-hour period and I need caffeine. So what am I going to do? Because I didn't have my energy drinks at that time. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't really want to do a lot of energy drinks because of my heart and things. Because a couple months back in February, January, I found out I had a heart murmur. And I'm like, oh, no. It's just like because I was wearing the mask for that year that we had to be shut down and I have a deviated septum. After there's no mask, we should be fine. It should get back to normal. I shouldn't have an issue. Yeah, no, I still have it. Found that out again Friday when I went to, on the 1st, when I went to my, I had to take 6 months to get into a specialist, right? Because I was going to get an EKG done at my doctor's, and my doctor was like, no, your insurance denied it. You have to go to a specialist. So I'm like, oh, really? So in order to get into the specialist, I could have got in earlier, but the specialist used to help mom and knew about mom's history. So I figured, hey, if she knew about mom, I knew her from taking mom back and forth to the cardiologists over there in Orchard Park. So, I might as well wait to get it done by this lady that knows that, and she knows the history of mom. So she could also, instead of me telling history of the family, she'd already know what mom's condition was. So she'd be able to generate something really quick. Hey, Abby. See, I can actually see things now on my phone. If it was on my laptop, I wouldn't be able to see anything. Another good thing about having a phone back. And so after that, so now I have no idea. They're going to try to order a echo to see what else is going on. We do know Grandpa had issues with heart conditions as well, because he had to have a pacemaker put in towards the end. That was the whole thing a couple years back when we were really afraid that we were going to lose him. And that was hard. That was very hard. And we know mom had her issues with her stuff because she had, she had AFib at least, and some other things. So I'm like, it might be genetic. I don't know. But even if this is the case, I'm like, okay, going forward, it's 100% I have a heart murmur now. And they said it usually happens with people who are anemic. And I'm like, well, how the heck did I become anemic? Because first of all, I've been eating gluten all this whole entire time. So it's not like I'm not eating. Like I was doing rice, but I wasn't solid rice. I was doing gluten in between because I had to go to work, and had to have something to hold me over for an 8 hours, period. That's when I was at CVS for a while there. I was taking care of Gramp. And then it just they're like, I don't know. Nobody can figure out why. I've had this test done, that test done, whatever test done. I'm still apparently waiting on apparently trying to have an endoscopy, because the last time I'm like, oh, well, the one doctor said, oh, I'm negative for this or negative for that, so I don't need it necessarily. And I'm like, I'm not going to go through it if I don't need it, and I need somebody to drive me there. And then at one point they said it was going to be a 6-hour procedure, and I'm like, and I told my doctor's like, who is telling you what? And this is very dangerous because it's miscommunication and misinformation, and you don't need to learn all this stuff. No, because their doctors are not communicating with her, and her, it's all just craziness. So she's gonna get in contact, my main doctor, who's really good with having my back and making sure this is all good. She's known me through all the things with mom and Grandpa and everything, and Eric and all the things. So she knows all the history. And she basically is going to get in contact with actually the gastrologist I was supposed to be under the first time, but I couldn't get in with her, so they put me under this other lady who was apparently not doing her job. I don't know, whatever. She's been really nice. I feel really bad, but I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's legit or what's misleading information or what, so I don't know. So anyways, she's going to contact that. She's supposed to get back to me. She hasn't gotten back to me yet. I don't know what the heck the deal was. I don't know if it was possibly also because of the fact that they needed to wait on my cardio stuff first before they could go and see what they want to do next. I am on an iron pill. So when I had to have my blood test done before, I didn't even realize, hey, get off of the iron to see if your iron levels are fine, and you'd have to be off of it for a while. And when I'm off of the iron, I get dizzy and lightheaded. And then my hair falls out a lot more, which is apparently an iron thing. But also, I haven't been able to put things in order or have a set system because I've been thrown out of my comfort zone and thrown into this situation where now I have to live on my own. Now I don't have the other support systems I had before. Now I have to kind of fend for myself. I have to figure out my finances. I have to figure out where I'm going to get this other money to help me pay for my room and board. All these different things that I didn't have to worry about when I was taking care of my grandparents, because basically it was a trade-off for taking care of them and dealing with the headaches with that and room and board and having utilities paid for. And most people don't understand how much I went through and the fact that it really was taxing on me, especially when you're freaking washing your elderly grandfather's junk, which you shouldn't be, when, you have issues with, feces and urine. You said you never were gonna do that, and then you suck it up and do it anyways because you feel bad for him. You're not gonna let him sit in his own feces, and then you're having, mental breakdowns because it's so stressful and you're not used to it, and you're a sensitive person in general, and you're just getting, limited help the way you want it, and then you're getting judged one way or the other because you're not tough enough, or you're not, you're whining too much, or you're too sensitive, or any of this stuff. Luckily I ran into another friend when I was at my job now at Ace, and she's dealing with the stuff now, but she's like in her 60s dealing with taking care of her parents, and she's like, yeah, it's tough, especially when they become incontinent, and it's way not like dealing with a baby. It's 3 times as much feces that you're dealing with, and it's a lot more hard to, like, because they're more heavier. You can't just pick up, a baby. You can pick up a baby and just be like, all right, here we go, or a toddler. You can't do that with an adult. You have to roll them on one side or roll them on the other side. You have to have them stand or sit when they're doing it. I don't have any training on the back end at all about doing any of that stuff. I never had to deal with it when I was younger, so it was just all of a sudden into the fire, out of the pan into the fire type of a thing, but I dealt with it, I did it. And she's like, no, I'm giving you kudos. It's the people usually outside of my family that kind of understand a little bit more than my actual family did. But it is what it is. Sometimes when you're not in it and you're not doing it, you think it's easier for somebody else, when, you're like, oh, I have this and this and that. And, no judgment there. It is, everybody's option and ideas is different. So anyways, I digress. That's what was going on there. And then, my point is that trying to get out of that and learn how to manage without systems in place, that's really where I butt up against a wall. Because I'm fine when I have my own systems in place, when I have like a space where I can sit and rock and read like I used to. That's how I used to be able to offset any kind of work stress or any kind of family stress or any kind of friend stress, school stress, any of that. Since I moved back in with Mom, I wasn't able to actually kind of do that because my CD players took a crap, and I didn't have my rechargeable batteries that I could use for them, and nobody sold CD players anymore. So then I went onto my laptop. Then after my laptop, it didn't have a CD player, so I couldn't do that. The rocking chair that I rock in is ancient. It's a Lazy Boy from, it's gotta be like 25, 30 years old. No, it's even older than that. It's gotta be 30 at least, because I had it before I even before I was even graduated. That's still kicking, but I've used it so hard, and when I rock hard, that it offset the slide that it uses, and so when you're rocking it, it kicks back in the one way. So I actually just WD-40'd the crap out of it the other day. And then I of course have the other one that's Gramps, but it doesn't sit me correct. I don't sit it correctly. So it's just kind of trying to get a new system in place. Now it's a lot easier with the stress because I don't necessarily have to deal with Gramp or any of that complications. But it's also, one, now reality is hit. I'm not go survival mode as much as I was before. And Eric's death is starting to come back again. I have some of his things here when I was moving. I had to look through a lot of stuff. Mom's stuff, Gramps stuff, going by the house and seeing how the house is deteriorated and things like that. Things that I would have done differently, but at the same time, I mean, like, there's only so much you can do when the house wasn't taken care of when my grandmother was alive and she could have done something about it. So, I mean, hopefully regardless, it's going to work out in the end, so however it's going to work out. I stepped down, and so did my aunt, as exactly my brother stepped up, and we're still waiting on him, which I feel bad for that because you know, he's got to deal with the lawyer with all that, and the lawyer's not really doing his part the way he should, but he is, but he's not, but you know, you never know. And Dan's got so much on his plate anyways. It's just, he's got his new house, you know, the kids. I'm glad that they have a new house, because that place is beautiful. Like, if you go and see him, those woods are amazing. He's got a ton of land. It looks like you're driving into like an estate kind of a thing, with the way the pot, oh, they made it all pretty and stuff, and Dana did some nice gardening and stuff. Oh my god, it's awesome. It's my stuff. Woo! Eventually I'll get there. I'll get something like that eventually. One can dream, right? But for the meantime, at least I have a little bit of woods here. Now, granted, that's the other thing with my system. I'm used to doing these outside, and because there's so much chaos and so many kids, and you're butt up against another person, rental life is completely weird when you're renting in a complex versus an actual individual thing, and something to get used to. So, hey, Dan. Actually, Dan, I saw Sebastian the other day, and I was going to go see Shy, but I wasn't able to get down there. But I was like, hey. Oh, and I'm still doing Pokemon Go. So I just got a new phone, so now I can do Pokemon Go. So, Pokemon Go, man. Sorry, I'm a nerd. So anyways, beyond that, we thought the inheritance would be pretty much at least halfway started by now. The proceedings and having to get all the stuff, because you need to get, because it's a house, you have to go through all the bureaucracy and all the stuff, and then with the shutdown, so eventually, who knows how long it's going to take, whatever. So in the meantime, I have to sit here, and I'm going to be basically, if you see my other thing about putting this other post up there is, if you see me sharing a lot more about my Young Living oil business and different things, this is the reason why. Because I need to seriously get that up and running as another source of income, because of different things that are playing out in my life currently. I've got new expenses and things like that, and I definitely want to use this as a platform for me to be able to have that extra income coming in beyond my job, and then eventually being able to supplement my lifestyle. You know, because y'all know I got Crystal buying issues and stuff, but I have had to cool it down that for a while. Yeah, sadly. But anyway, another thing is I haven't been on here a lot too, because I've been dealing with certifications. Been getting a certification from, I don't know if you've seen the other videos by a lady called Hibiscus Moon. And she is one of the topmost crystal, certified crystal practitioner teachers that you have. She's world renowned. And she just posted in January, when I signed up for the class, that she was only going to do certifications for this year, for both the regular crystal, certified crystal practitioner and the master. And after that, you wouldn't be able to get certified through her personally. She's taking a hiatus next year, so from this coming January until the December, who knows what she's going to be doing. She's going to be going like off of social media completely and things, and she's gonna have something else set up or whatever, to find out where her next avenue and her next season is. So I wanted to jump on this first, so that's what I've been doing since January when I signed up until just recently for that. And basically I just got my certificate in the mail, and I want to show this to you guys. I worked so hard for this. I had to do all those that volunteered for my crystal practitioner or crystal session. I really appreciate you guys. You made this happen just as much as I did. So this is also for you guys too. And it's basically a certificate. Oh, look at that. Jennifer Lynn Holly, CCP, Certified Crystal Practitioner. Now I can fully be able to end up doing practitioner stuff and getting paid for it legally. Like, this is cool. Not that it would need to be legally, but actually I'm illegal. You know, it's awesome. It's really cool. And it's I can actually have, during the course, that like you can actually start putting your name on things and putting CCP right next to it, because it is a legal form, because it's all throughout the other stuff. Now, the other thing is too, with her class, you get a percentage off of the national holistic, and I forgot what it was called. I don't know the name offset, but the two main national holistic societies that you pay for every month to get in, or if you pay a full year, or whatever, however it is. I have to still look into it because finances are tight, so I can't do that until yet, but it's for the life of it because I am a graduate of it, so we get a different kind of a percentage, cheaper percentage to do that, which I'm excited about because that puts me on an actual national register of being a certified holistic practitioner. So I'm excited because that's the most official I've ever been in anything beyond the college stuff that I've done. And the college stuff was just like art history and information technology, which is from like a regular school that you would go to and stuff, which is really, really cool. So I also got this cute little, congratulations, you're a CCP. I'm just like, so cute. And then she's like Hibiscus Moon. It's actually her actual name. And she actually signed that too, which is really cool. Now, the other cool thing is by doing this, you also get the chance to be to get your master's in it, which is another 16-hour credits, 16 credit hours, I should say, beyond what this certificate is. And then you also have to pay a certain kind of the fee for putting all your graduation stuff in. And you also have to do a write-up, like an essay, another essay beyond what you did for that certification. And that one is also, you have to get that in and done by the, basically it's by, say, at least November, because she stops it in December, so that you can be accredited and, granted it by December. Because after December, you can't do it anymore. Or however, she'll come back on at the end of the year to see what she's going to do, if she's going to hand it over to the one girl to manage going forward or not. But I figured I'd jump on this specifically from her teaching versus her stepping down and having somebody else, take up the reins. Because it's always great to learn from the actual original person who started it from the beginning, who's amassed so much knowledge through the years. And I know a lot of people who've taken her courses. One of the girls that I follow, Jen Feline, she's part of that group too, and another one, Tina. We all graduated now, from her classes, and she's just, I followed Hibiscus from the beginning, and then life happened a couple years ago, about 7 years ago, and I stopped following her because Facebook did a stupid thing, and then she ended up randomly popping up in my feed again, which is the awesome part about it, because basically after that, that's the whole idea about coincidences. So I'm going for my master's with that too. So that's why I've been not really on, and I've been super stressed out. And if I seemed a little bit, agitated in things, it's because the finances had to go from one to the other. I all of a sudden went here because when I signed up for that in January, I was on a monthly thing and I had the money to be able to do it. Then when this happened, then I didn't have the money. So I'm like, oh no, I can't graduate because I can't pay her, blah, blah. It was a whole big thing. So anyways, push comes to shove. That's done. Going on to my master's now with it, which all this was set in motion in January. So I did not realize in January I'd have to end up doing all this, because actually, to be honest, I thought I'd be in the house until June, and then move out after June, because that's what everybody really thought. But I thought that basically we were going to sell the house as is right then. I decided to get out when I had an opening. And this place here that I'm at, it's not the greatest, but it's better than some. It's a lot better than some places. And it's actually decent. I can afford it. Which is good. But now with all the other stuff going on, and now with the car payment that wasn't there, it offset stuff. My payment for my actual job that I'm at is every 2 weeks, so that offsets that. I still have my Discover payment that I have to pay for, but luckily that'll be done after 3 years of payments. In January, I only have 100 instead of 484 every time. So that has been really where all my finances is going for that. And unfortunately right now, I've had to put everything on credit cards and things, so I have to pay that back. And I am definitely looking for other avenues. I was told that I was put in for a job interview and a placement for $22 an hour for this business, and it's basically 6 to 10 weeks of the background checks and different things. And so I've been in limbo for like 6 to 10 weeks now, for like 2 months, trying to figure out, okay, I'm not taking another avenue. I'm not trying to go and do this, because when I did the interview originally, like, okay, well, we just want to make sure you're still in it. We're going to put you in for $22 an hour. And I'm like, well, for $22 an hour, yeah, I'll wait, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 if I have to, because that'll end up, compounding when I get those paychecks in. Yeah, well, they just emailed me last week and said, sorry, it was promoted from within. And I'm like, you mean to tell me I sacrificed all these months of trying to get a different job that would pay more and be full-time for waiting for you? I'm like, oh, I see how your company is. And your company's not helping me out on my back end. So, whatever. Lesson learned, don't go with those kinds of companies. Oh, it was NYSEG, by the way. So, I mean, I've been having issues with NYSEG not being able to take me off, because they're still... When I was at the house, I had to have all the bills put in my name, because after Grant passed, everything was basically blocked, and I was still living there, so of course I still needed electricity and all the things. So I put this stuff in my name. I had some money left over in that one account that was, I was using the money from Grant to do that. Now, what happened was, and I was using actually the rent money that I was getting to supplement that. Well, then I wasn't living there anymore, so of course I'm not getting the rent money. But sadly, that stuff still is coming out of my account. So I'm like, what's going on here? And so we were supposed to cancel it, but the only way to cancel it is to have a copy of Graham's death certificate. Well, we're not doing that. That's not getting done, whatever. So we worked out this, me and my brother, we worked out this thing where basically as long as it's taken out of my account, he'll supplement me with the money, whatever. But this is all the other hiccups we've had to deal with businesses and places and things, and miscommunication and things like that. So it's been very interesting. It's been very testing and trying on me, trying to figure out, and the fact that I have to just kind of be like, disassociate from it, because you can't care. Like, I care too much, and it's what gets me in trouble. Because I care so much that I go and help this person out. Oh, I'll go help this person out. I'll go help that person out. And then I'll be like, oh, now I'm screwed because I don't have any money. Because I just went and helped that person do that and that person do that. And I'm like, and everybody's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that. You should just do yourself first. And I said, I get that. But I'm not that type of person. I live with the idea that we live in a utopian world, and I want to generate that idea and be a prime example of that and how we should be living here in this 3D/4D world that we're in, because that's what 5D is all about. That's what, like, treat your neighbor as you would like to be treated. Golden rule type of a thing. Treat others as you would like to be treated. That's how I've always lived my life. And yes, sometimes to the detriment of, situations and things and my own sanity. But I don't regret it. I really don't. Because deep down in my soul, I know it's the right thing to do. I know it's the right thing to do. And I know with finances being tight for everybody and all these things, we all have to lean on each other. If we don't lean on each other, we start saying, oh, it's just me, my own thing, beyond the people that, take advantage. And, we got to train the people who are trying to take advantage of other people to be like, no, you don't have to take advantage. Stop that thinking. That's why you're always in lack. If you just help the other person out, like, Buffalo's the good neighbor city. Come on now. With all the crap that's already going on in the world, why would you want to put more shit on yourself? I mean, this is like attracts like. If you're not giving to other people will not give to you. Simple as that. I have a group that I share things with, which I'm actually later on going to be doing another video in there, and I haven't been able to be getting in there for a while because of all the craziness. But I mean, this is the point. Even when chaos hits you, heck, look at me. I lost my younger brother just recently. I lost my place of where I was living. I've had more expenses. I've had to deal with the car myself. All these things that I never had to deal with before, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I could be angry at everything. I could be angry at everyone. I could be angry at my family for this, that, whatever. I could be angry at the fact that I don't have like the comfort that I feel anymore, and then I'm like having to be stretched thin or this or that. But no, it is what it is. Like, they feel stressed, so they can't give, which okay, that's fine. I get it. But the universe will always supply you with something. Case in point, friend just donated me some money. Like, well, didn't loaned me money. And they said, don't worry about paying it back. I know you're good for it. You're honest. You're one of the most honest people, like, I've ever met, to, like, your own detriment. And I'm like, yeah, I know, shut up. Because if y'all know me, I have issues with not being honest. And they're like, well, whatever, just take a little bit. Nobody's going to know. I'm like, well, I know, and that's the difference. It doesn't sit right with me. And that's the kind of people that I want to generate in my life. The people that don't back down or get bought out when things get shady and, they're like, oh, well, I need the money anyway, so I'm going to look the other way. No. Where's your integrity? Where's your honesty? I mean, and we see this across the board. I mean, case in point, there are some Young Living people that decided to jump ship because they got offered more money in this other company, and they were pretty high up in the company, and all that different stuff, because they saw a shiny thing when things weren't looking right in the current situation. Everything's got seasons, guys. You've seen my life. You've seen how it's seasons. I was like, yeah, everything's going good when I was younger and everything's perfect. And then you become like this. I'm like, oh, shnikes, everything's getting like crap. What the hell? Hey, Caroline. Or you'll get people who have, health issues or just lost family members. And now, I mean, especially coming into, during the shutdown, yes, we had a lot more serious things. But now we're also like, usually a year out of some of these people passing, and it's just like they passed yesterday. It's hard. It's not easy. And, trying to learn and get a new system going and being like, okay, I know they're not here. I still have the memories. I still get triggered by it. I still miss them like crap, And after that, you're just, it does get slightly easier, but it never gets less painful. You just learn to live with it. You learn to live with the loss is what it really is. It's that peace that you can't get back because they're not in the physical realm. Of course, they're in the spiritual realm, and believe me, I've got so many people in the spiritual realm now that have passed in my family that I joke with some of my friends going, I got more people at my spiritual Thanksgiving table than on my physical Thanksgiving table. And actually, what I personally believe that they have more power being in spirit form than they do in the physical realm. They can help me out 10 times faster and better with what I'm aligned with and what I can't see necessarily with my higher self. And don't mind that noise if you can hear it because my air conditioning just kicked on. Then I would be able to see for myself, or that I would be able to understand. But like we do live in a 3D limited world-ish, but it's also about perception. I mean, case in point, look at all those people that end up doing drugs or whatever for that little bit and get high and end up getting these revelations about how everything is unanimously equal for everybody, and there's tons of stuff to go around. There's no limit. It's like universally abundant. But because you're in the 3D and you're grounded into that 3D, that's all you see currently in your reality, because it's how you feel. And this is also about macro to micro, inside to outside. What is within will manifest in your outside world. So this is what I'm learning too, because all this mix up, I might think as, oh my God, my life's going to shit. I don't know what's going on. I can't do this. I can't do that. What I used to do, where's my freedom? Oh. My cat hit my touch lamp. That was Gramps' touch lamp. So I'm like, why is that like golden light over there? Squirrel brain, guys. But anyways, and you'll have those moments and you'll be like, yeah. And then when you're not in that state, you're like, oh, what the hell? Sorry about swearing. But it's just kind of like frustrating. And throughout all of it, I have learned, and I'm learning more or less now, that as I went on and got into corporate America, ended up having to do stuff, regardless of the fact that I was in a full-time job this way, part-time job this time, doing this over here, doing that over there, things that my family didn't agree with, things that they thought I should do better, things that they're like, oh, you're still a child, you're not an adult, blah, 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 blah. All these things, regardless of how they viewed it or how society viewed it, I also learned that I started getting more and more away from my center. I started attuning more towards that 3D work, no play, no fun, you know, and it's not who I am. It's never been who I am. There is a point where you end up having to blend your responsibilities with your, you know, your passion, and that's why people go into vocations that they love, like say if you like animals or whatever, you're going veterinary and stuff. If you're a spiritualist or something, you can go into any kind of the vocations for the holistic rooms. One reason why I got this certificate, so I can legally be okay asking for payment on the services I will provide. Now, granted, my people are like, "Oh my God, you're going to be doing crystal healings? What the heck, dude? That's not a. No, you need a stable job." No, and I get that. But also, do you know how many people are on there making it happen that are not? I mean, look at the shutdown. It gave us a point. But it's just getting me to actually get it going and have it done. Because years ago, in 2016, when I started my Young Living business, I had income. I got checks from Young Living. I had extra income coming in. And it was good. But I also was able to go out and talk to people and do things. Now, granted, it wasn't with the, you know, best of the best people, and you know, things started happening and people were not necessarily ordering online. They'd order from me personally, which didn't really necessarily give me a percentage up. But hey, I was like, hey, I'm glad with any kind of stuff. Just getting the word out there, sharing my love of these products, how these products help me, you know, and all this stuff. Then as I transpired and I started moving towards corporate and being like, okay, well, I still need to make money. I still need to do this. Had to get a job. Okay? It's reality, guys. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. Believe me. I know. Hello. It's my life. So we do this. And then after that, we're like, oh, okay, well, I'm doing this. And then I'm focusing more on that, not putting the time in where I need to do. Then I had to come back, live back with my grandparents, help them out with finances and different things like that, because they were helping me financially. I was helping them physically. And it all worked out, more or less. And so then I had to start going, like, and I went back to school and I did some other stuff. I got a tech degree, which I don't think I would have gotten before, and things. But there's a lot of things. There's seasons. This is what I'm saying, seasons of what's going on. And so now I'm going to go get my master's certification in this. I'm also working on another thing that I'm working on, but I've had to offset that for the last 5 years now. Hopefully I can still get the certification for it. More likely I will. It's always on. The one I ended up getting a certification for, and the lady, we all know her if you're our own spiritualist group. She was through Hay House, and she went completely Catholic, and she denied everything she ever written through Hay House and things like that, and she wanted everything, her name taken off of all the other stuff. So she kind of got involved in a situation where she didn't believe in the stuff that she had originally believed in. And you know what happens? Sometimes you're taken on a path that doesn't align with you, but you think it does. And then down the line, you'll be like, oh crap, that's right. Because of trauma and stuff that you've experienced, and you get pulled into somebody else's stuff and you think that's your truth and it really isn't. I know. Okay. Been there. Not gonna go about it. Anyway. But that was where I lost a bunch of money, and that's also where my credit card was maxed out and things like that. But But now, you know, looking back on hindsight, I'm like, no, it's still okay. You can still do this stuff. I mean, just because she went her different path doesn't mean it's not going to be, you know, legit or whatever. So, regardless of that, that's going on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's okay. I fixed the car, end up getting a new phone. Now, granted, that bumped up my freaking payment plan on my phone, which now I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that. That's why I'm saying that it's probably gonna be posting more about the Young Living and other aspects of different things. But within it all, I'm holding the truth of who I am and not being as swayed, because I was severely swayed because I was under the fear guise, of my survival and how I'm going to make a living and how I'm going to have a roof over my head and stuff, and learning that I do have the confidence, I do have the wherewithal, I do have it in me to do what I need to do. It's just I was living with other people. As an empath, I gained other people's energy, which wasn't my own. And being around other people, that's where I was actually feeling that too. And now a bunch of my family doesn't actually believe in the whole empath thing and spiritualist stuff, which I get, so you don't have to worry about it. But I'm just putting it out there, guys. You're gonna see more of it, and I'm gonna be doing that. So just be, I'm warning you. So don't get all antsy now, because you should be like, oh, okay, crazy cousin over here is doing this, or hey, crazy sister's over here doing this, or crazy daughter's doing this. You know, it is what it is. Their crazy nephew, niece, whatever. You know, I don't know how soon I'll get that up and running, granted, because I have to focus on things and get a system in place, but I'm trying and I'm putting the work in, and that's what really counts, because even micro steps equal macro results, okay? And I've learned that. Because if you know that you're taking one more step, even if it's a baby step, to your desired outcome in life and what's going to make you happy and your dream, and that's what mine is, then that's really what's going to, albeit slowly, change your outside world, you know. Believe me, if I had my way and I had all the money that in the world, or whatever, $1 million, so to speak, I guess we all said it, I would totally not do any of that. I would sit down and write a book, because I've been told by Spirit and myself that I've needed to write a book for 20 some years now, but it's actually, I've got more, you know, basis for writing a book now with more information on that from what I've lived through. And everybody's like, you need to write a book about how you can go through so much crap and still come out of it as positive as you are. And I'm like, it's just my nature. It's just, you can call me naive if you want, but I'm like, it's just who I am. And I think a lot of people resonate with that, because they're like, hey, you know, if she's resilient like that, then you know what I'll do? I'm going to look up to her. I get a lot of people that say, hey, I look up to you a lot too, you know, and all these things. And I'm like, really? Me? Why? And they're like, dude, because you're so positive when shit hits the fan, and like you always have this thing about, I've taken from you this whole see the silver lining in things aspect. And I go, oh, you actually listen to me? That's cool. Thanks. You know? I'm like, I don't know. I listen to other people too. I mean, like, my words will go to only so many people. They're not meant to go to everybody. There's only certain people who will actually listen to it, and it'll go in and they'll resonate with it. Other people, they'll be like, psh, tune it out, whatever. Don't need that craziness in my life. Which is fine. I'm not for everybody. I've learned that. You know, but at the same time, when I was younger, you know, I was under the naive assumption that I needed, well, I'm kind of still working on that, to save everybody and be like, no, you guys are going into this whole craziness about, okay, so case in point, like, I'll see somebody and it'll be like, oh my god, their life's, you know, spiraling, and they're gonna go and drop off that corner of that, you know, cliff, you know, if I don't save them. And I'm learning that it's not up to me to save them, because if I intervene, it might be causing them more of a problem. And I did a video on this years ago that now I'm just getting back into, about offsetting somebody else's trajectory because I'm in the, and there was a word for it, I follow Sylvia Brown, and she had all these life, they're like one's activator, one's matriarch, one's, you know, all these different things. But basically it's the theme, there it is, theme, that's the word I'm looking for. The life themes that you carry with you in this incarnation, if you believe in incarnation, or incarnating, or, you know, that's the ancient Egyptian thing that I believe in too. But anyways, if you believe in that kind of stuff, like, some are like banner wavers, you know, banner carriers, I guess they're called. You know, you could see that with the people with the people protesting the different things that have recently gone on, like that whole overturning the Roe versus Wade thing. I'm not one of them. I'm not out on the front lines picketing or whatever. I'll be in the back, just sitting here going, okay, well, I see that's going to go to shit, so I'm going to freaking make sure that I'm, like, meditating more and taking care of myself and taking more showers so I can get more water in my system so I can counter all the energy that's going to be coming at me. Because that's another thing with my sensitivities. And yes, my spiritual gifts, guys. I do have spiritual gifts. I don't care what you say. I'm owning that. I just got to be able to learn more about what they are and how to gauge them. That's one reason why I'm overly sensitive. Or why people end up putting me in certain things. Because I'm different. I'm not part of this 3D generation. I'm what some would consider the first scout for the crystal children generation. Other people would classify people like us as having autism, which is not necessarily true either. We just see things differently. But anyways, basically learning to stay in my own lane, not have to rescue everybody, not have to... I think the reason why I did a lot of that too, in hindsight, is the fact that I wanted my immediate area to be good, and so that energy that was coming in from other people I was around, I didn't want all that negative stuff because I didn't know how to deal with it. And so if I saved other people and I stopped them from having negative feelings and negative energy around them, then I wouldn't be it because I wouldn't feel it. Because if they don't have a negative energy around them, or if they're not upset all the time or frustrated, then it won't come to me because I feel that all the time. So it'll have me feel better. But it's not about that, because that's me using my exterior to feel better inside. But what I'm learning now, 10, 20 years later, is about healing my inside. So when that does happen on the outside, I'm not fazed by it. And that is one thing that my older brother is good at. I will say that. He learned that early on, which is really cool. Because he used to tell me way back when I was younger, take one day at a time, and don't be so personally upset about things, and let things roll off your back, more or less. And yes, it's easier for somebody who doesn't have the emotional sensitivity that I do, and apparently the thin skin that I do, because they're all like, get thicker skin. I'm like, well, I automatically have thin skin, people, leave me alone. So I always thought that was funny too. But like with all these other stuff, and I'm pretty sure once I get the hang of that, all these other health challenges will go away on their own. And that's why I'm trying to go back to the gluten-free and all the things. And why I'm doing Young Living, because Young Living helps. But by doing Young Living, you have to be able to budget for it. You have to be able to continue that and to be able to invest in yourself. You know, if you're bringing in more toxic stuff into yourself, that's one thing. So then don't, assume that you're going to be healthy right away either. I'm not 100% healthy either, guys. I've backtracked. I'll own it. But getting back on track is always the thing. You always have the choice of getting back on track. And it's always being able to budget for what you really feel is your immediate, like the car. Budgeting from the car, immediate. I have to do that. Budgeting for Young Living, I have to do that. You know why? Because it's what gets me through. It's my shampoo. It's my skin. It's what I put in, my Ninja Red. I always have to have the Ninja Red. Now, granted, I had to offset my payment this month because I had to find another way to purchase it. But I definitely found it. So it's offset by a couple weeks, like a week. So hopefully it'll come soon. So I won't have a day or two where I'm not drinking my Ninja. But in the meantime, I'll go with the Gatorade. I'll do some Pedialyte. I don't know. I mean, since I still have some other stuff, I can use that. For right now, I was able to, with my friend's loan, I was able to, pay my rent. Thank God. Because otherwise, I don't know if I'd be able to stay here. Because sadly, nobody took the incentive. Nobody was able to sign up. So I was out $900 on that one, which is unfortunate because I would have really enjoyed that extra $900. But hey, it's a business. Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it's not going to happen in the future. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, nobody signed up. I don't get that $900. And just stop and be like, this is not for me. Come on. That's no. It's a business. You have to think of it as a business. I've thought about this as a business for a long time. I've had to put it off on the side because I was taking care of Mom and Grandma. I was also a lot heavier when I first started when I was over at my first apartment. And that was a whole nother thing. Anyway, writing a book. But a lot of this too is the fact that if you know these products change your life, and you know that without them you'd be in a worse place, then that's a testimony in and of itself. And you know what? Good for you. Keep going. You know, businesses have off seasons. Like, that is why everybody does sales and marketing, and this is why you have certain sales for certain holidays and things, and other times you don't. I mean, it's marketing 101. And that's a lot of what I'm learning too, because I never went to school for business. Although I probably should have. It would have set me up a lot faster with this, and I would have probably been 15,000 times further down the line than I am now. But I mean, hey, it's trial by error, right? Trial by fire, or whatever you call it. God put me on this place for a reason, and this is what's going on. You know, I know there's a bigger purpose for me, especially that time that I was in church at Baker, and I was getting confirmed, and everything was fine, and all of a sudden they went, I have a cousin, she's Jennifer Lee Hawley, I'm Jennifer Lynn, and they went to her name first, Jennifer Lee Hawley, and they went, okay, quiet, and then they went to me, and it was like raining, whatever, they went to Jennifer Lynn Hawley, and as soon as they said Lynn, it went kaboom, and there was this gigantic thunderclap, and all the lights went out, and the power generator lights kicked on. And everybody's all like, what the heck's going on here? And then the girl that was my grandmother's friend, Mrs. Beer at the time, you could hear her shout from the one pew, well, God heard that one, and stop, you know, and then all of a sudden they're all laughing, you know, and then, of course, the lights come back on, you know, everybody's like, everybody okay? Everybody good? Okay, let's continue. And then through the rest of all the ones up until the end, nothing happened. It was just me. And I take that personally. I take it as like, okay, that's weird. Like, it's one thing if it was just one thing and everybody's like, oh, it's just coincidence, whatever. But believe me, my whole life is a bunch of coincidences. And if you read these, this one book I'm actually reading, which is called The Celestian Prophecy, which actually I was reading, it came out in 93. I didn't start kind of reading it until, I don't know. 4 years ago now, maybe 5. And I couldn't get into it. I just didn't really kind of understand, but I think it's because I was reading the how to do the self-help one instead of the actual book. And I didn't have all the life, you know, experiences I've had now to relate to it. I totally understand what the book's talking about now. Totally. Like, because I see it in my life. I see it in my waking life, like I'm talking to you now. Like the constant connections with people, the things. My friend Cameron Wald coming back online and being like, and stopping by and talking to him after years of things, you know. And everybody in my class knows that whole entire backstory. So that's interesting too. I mean, and the fact that he's even saying a lot of the stuff he's seeing is like a Mandela effect, where he's like, I know his account ended up getting hacked for a while, and he had shit happen to him that sucks. You know, and my friend just almost had her account hacked too, because actually she has a website that's off of Facebook, but what they did is the web host she was hosting with on her website ended up getting they changed permissions, and somebody went through the back door and hacked her account, so anything that was attached to her business ended up being pulled down and flagged for spam on Facebook. So if that happened to her, then, you know, worse can happen to other people. So, and I've gotten people that have had their whole entire identities screwed over and false, you know, things accused that never happened, and it just destroyed people, which is sad, because like if the person really knows you, they will go to you personally to ask, and if they don't and they just assume whatever they're hearing is this, then you're not their friend. In other words, you're an enemy. Because if you're really that gullible to listen to the gossip that's going on instead of going to the person and getting it from the person, then you're not a friend at all. And that karma's going to come back to you. And so that shit that's going to happen to you in the future, yeah, when it happens to you, you're going to be really not so happy. So that's how I always live my life, because I would not want to generate bad karma back to me. Because it always says, hey, if you put it out, it's going to come back to you 3 times worse. So I always want to put out positive. And I did a video on that a couple years ago too. Anyways, This is almost going on, I don't know how long, but, let's see here. It doesn't even tell me how long. Nope. Okay. So I'm gonna get off. I could freaking talk for hours, guys. And sorry, I did take a long time, but I figured, you know, coming on here, and doing all that and explaining, it's just what's been going on, the craziness that's going on. I don't know where my life's headed. I'm definitely here at this place until next March, so I'm definitely gonna be here. And like I said, after January, I'm gonna have an extra $400 to use. Thank God. Woo. But for the time being, I have to monetize what I'm doing and try to get like new things coming and going. So you're going to be seeing a lot more posts about Young Living. I'm probably going to be doing a couple classes too. They're free classes. They're just going to be in a Facebook group, like a little. No, it's actually an event, I guess. I have to see how I'm going to do it because Facebook's changing the way they're doing their groups and things. Case in point, why certain things get flagged for some stupid shit, so I don't know what's going on. So, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I do have a book that I can read from, because I've never really done classes before, and I figured, hey, the theory is if you want something to change, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect the same, or expect different results. You got to do something different. And I always want everything to be perfect before I actually do it. You know, so that's part of my whole thing. I'm like, okay, no, I just got to get on here. It's going to look stupid. It's going to look silly. I'm going to look completely not professional. But hey, at least I'm getting the information out. And if somebody understands, say, hey, okay, that screw up made me laugh. Or hey, you know, you resonate with me with your crazy antics or your squirrel brain or whatever. Then that's awesome. That's all I care about, you know? And if they choose that they want to, oh my gosh, it looked almost like there was somebody kissed me right here. It's funny. I keep looking this way because there's a nest of wasps in the fake window pane thing that's over on the side of the brick that's on my little apartment here. I'm gonna have to spray it later on because they're building a nest up in the little slats. And I'm just like, oh. And then we have a bunch of the freaking bees that were in the house at South Street that like to go through your drywall. Well, they're ground wasps, I guess, or something. And they're nasty, and that's why I have a scar on my leg from when they freaking came and attacked me over there, and then they came up through the baseboards. Because I was like scared, because I'm like, I'm not having this with Gramp. And luckily I was on the gabapentin that made it so I didn't really hurt, because I think I would have been in the hospital otherwise. Because I got stung by like 3 different ones. And I think it was starting to be an allergic reaction, but I'm glad. So now I have them out here, and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, because I'm like, do I call the maintenance person and end up having them come? But it's the holiday, and I put it off for a while because they were on vacation for a while, and they just got back, and I'm like, I don't know who to go through, because before I went through the other lady, and it's just all this craziness, that normally I would just do it on my own, but I'm like, So I might just try to go out and see if I can spray one of the days that it's going to be like nighttime and kind of rainy. I don't know. I don't know what the idea is there. To make sure I get on like 5 gabbies. No, I'm just joking. At least 1. Because that's how I was able to do that. But at that time I also wasn't used to the gabbies like I am now. Because I was just starting to get anxiety and things like that. Yeah, and at that time it was right after. Oh. No, Eric hadn't passed that time. So yeah, I don't know. I was dealing with other stuff though. Need to write a book. Alright, I will talk to you guys later. It is basically almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I hope you guys are going to be enjoying yourself today. If you're in East Aurora, our fireworks display is tonight. Hopefully I'll be up for it. I have to kind of drink more tea because I haven't really been feeling good myself, because also with this, my allergies are kicking in because there's so much dust in here, just like the other one. So I don't know if it's just dust all over the place or what, but at least I'm very, very, very grateful that there is air conditioning. Although in some aspects it causes it to be a little bit cold in certain rooms and then hot. So it's getting used to the different things, and I'm just very glad that I have a quiet neighbor that's upstairs, and then the front. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for where I have. And actually now I'm actually might take a walk down behind because they just mowed, because I want to walk the property line of where the woods are to see if there's anything in there. So we'll see if I can do that, what goes on, and I will figure it out from there. All right, guys, thank you for watching me. If you want more information, you want to see my back videos, you can either hit the video tab here in Facebook, or you can go onto my YouTube channel and look up all the different playlists I have. I have also a day in the life of an oiler if you want to learn more about my oily stuff. I have Take a Page from My Life's Book, which is all about what's been happening to me over the years and my spiritualism beliefs and different things that I've noticed throughout the years and my own personal education and changes. And a couple other things like some nature videos, some pet videos, all the things. Flowers, Alright, I will talk to you guys later. And, alright, everybody enjoy and have a happy, safe 4th of July. Bye! See you on the flip side. Love, light, and blessings. Namaste.